I think a lot of you wanted to hear me say it. Rammstein, Rammstein, Rammstein. Rammstein, why didn't you say Rammstein? Halli hallo, I am Eric, an American living in Germany, and this is Krautsalat. All right, welcome back. I hope you have seen my video talking about metal in Germany and the overall scene and whatnot. I did not talk so much about the bands, and I got some comments, some feedback from friends that want to hear me talk about the bands a little bit more. So a friend of mine gave me a list of 10 of the more popular German metal bands, and let's go through that and see what I think of this. Number 1, Scorpions. This is probably one of the biggest ones. I know that for the US, like they are an arena band. They've been like this. I think that they've maintained that over the past 30 years or so, 30, 40 years. Rock You Like a Hurricane that's like an arena anthem type song in the US. Everybody knows that. My favorite song from them though is The Zoo. Number 2, Accept. I don't think these guys ever really broke into the US. Like everyone knows Balls to the Wall. This is a song that's been covered a bunch of times by American bands. Even me, myself, I can't name another song from them. So, es tut mir leid. 3, Halloween. This band I don't know enough about. Like I know very little. So they made a reunion recently or something. That's how much I know about them. Number 4, Gamma Ray. Same with Halloween. Like I know little about these guys. I think one of the members of Gamma Ray used to play in Halloween, but I don't know for sure. So don't get too mad at me. Number 5, Creator. Here we get into the thrash metal, and the metalheads in America do know who Creator is. Definitely not as popular. I saw Creator, when was it? 2007 or something? 2008? In a small club. They did a US tour with Napalm Death. I don't know how small it was, but I think less than 1,000 people. And I'm quite certain Creator is bigger than that here. I have not seen them in a long time. I know I would have gone to their recent tour, the one that got canceled because of this crisis. So missed out on that. On to, I think, is this number 6? Destruction. Destruction, here we go. Another of the, what do they call it? The Teutonic Big Four. Everyone knows Destruction. They are a little smaller in the US. Following Destruction, then we have Sodom. I think like with Creator and Destruction and Sodom, I think within the US, their popularity level is probably close to the same, but I can't really say. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen Sodom in concert. Not that I remember. Okay, here we got number 9. Stepping away from the thrash metal, something a little bit more modern, is Heaven Shall Burn. These guys I do know are a bit more popular. Not extremely well. The metalcore scene was quite big in the US with bands like Killswitch Engage and As I Lay Dying and whatnot. So Heaven Shall Burn fit in with that. I got to see them at the Rockenheim, my video of wow moments. I mentioned being at the Rockenheim Festival at the Hockenheim Ring. I know this for sure. Some of you doubted me and said that it was Rocken Park, but this festival happened, I think, 2 years, and it wasn't that good. But I was there, the Hockenheim Ring. I know it. I saw Heaven Shall Burn, and I got to witness their big, notorious circle pit. Oh, and number 10, everyone knows Rammstein. Everybody knows Rammstein. One of the top things about Germany. And I think a lot of you wanted to hear me say it. Rammstein, Rammstein, Rammstein. I did not mention them in the German metal video, and I got a lot of comments. Rammstein, why didn't you say Rammstein? It was one of the very first words that came out of my mouth in the very first video of Krautsalat. So you can go back and watch that. So I'm quite aware of Rammstein. Yeah, going back to their Sehnsucht album with Du Hast was a big hit. 1998, they were a big hit in the US. They did the Family Values tour with Korn. I got to see that. In the US, everyone just soaked it up. Everyone loved it. So they did some big tours, arenas. I don't know if they ever did like a club tour. I think as soon as they hit in the US doing that tour with Korn, then I think they did another arena tour. I have seen Rammstein twice in America, never here in Germany, but I think we will hopefully change that sometime soon. But this list of 10, one I want to add, where is Doro? As far as German metal and my impression, I think Doro would be up near the top, but mostly because everyone knows her. So, I don't know. So I know her, I'll add that in, number 11, Doro. I made my own list of some bands from Germany that had some sort of impact. Let's go, I'm gonna start with Caliban. This may be the first German band that I was aware of. 2003 or 2002. I saw them in concert at the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival, right around the time their album Shadow Hearts came out. I did really like it. They didn't really stick with me over the years, so I can't say that I've listened to much of them, but Caliban is the first band that I was fully aware of, being from Germany, whose music I got into. And then some years later, during the MySpace era, I hope some of you remember this, MySpace was awesome for bands. Like, it was such an easy way to find new bands. The music was right there. You could click on the profile, the music player was there, and immediately you could hear a band. So this was my first time hearing Holy Moses. I dug it. I'm not so much into thrash metal, so maybe that's why I didn't really get into Creator and Destruction and Sodom. I'm the same way with the American bands, so it's got nothing to do with where they come from. But there was something about Holy Moses that I liked at first. They led me to a younger band called Cripper. And these guys were cool. Their music had a bit more energy. It fit my taste a little bit more. Getting to hear them is how I made friends here in Germany. And because of them playing on the 70,000 Tons of Metal Cruise in 2011, I met this guy, Chris, who plays with a band called Scarnival. And this is kind of the circle of friends that I got to know here in Hanover, leading me here to Hanover. But because of this guy, I ended up with my first band here in Hanover. To me, that's a big personal connection that goes back to MySpace and hearing Holy Moses. So that's interesting how all of that came together. One of my favorite bands, period. One of my favorite albums, one of my top favorite albums, comes from the band The Ocean. Pelagial is one of my top 3. Like, if I had to pick 3 albums, Pelagial by The Ocean is one that I will never get. I could listen to that on repeat over and over and over again. This is one of my favorite albums. Let's go back a little bit further. I hope this surprises you a little bit. I really like Protector. I was quite late hearing them. It was only, I don't know, 6 years ago or something. It was after I started making visits to Germany, then I heard about Protector. A Shedding of Skin is one of my favorite albums from the period of late 80s into the mid 90s. If you don't know it, if you're a metalhead, you need to hear this album, A Shedding of Skin by Protector. Hands down, one of the best for that time period, and it holds up to today. Must listen. I'll keep going with my list. Montar. I love this band. I've mentioned them before. I've worn their t-shirts in one of the videos. These guys, because of some of my friends that I made here in Germany, in the early times, I was told about Montar. And I got to see them, was it 2014? Anyway, when they did their first US tour, right after Death by Burning came out, I got to see them play in a tiny little place in Florida. Last day of the tour, I think, 50 people were there, maybe? I know for most of the show, I was the only one standing up right against the stage. That was a very interesting concert scenario for me, because at that point I knew already that they were becoming popular in Germany, and here I was seeing them on a small stage with a small crowd, and they were mind-blowing. It's cool. I'm very happy that I was able to catch them at the level that I could and see them in a small venue. I love that band, by the way. And then another one that kind of fits in with Montar, a band from Hamburg called High Fighter. I really like a lot of this stoner, like the stoner metal type stuff, like Clutch. This was the first band that I ordered merch from online. I don't think I ever did that before this band. And I bought their first EP and a t-shirt and had it shipped to the US. Yeah, this was one of the first bands that I ordered and bought merch from around the world. In October 2016, this was the year before I moved, I made a trip here to Germany. This was the same trip that I went to Flensburg. Go back and watch my Wow Moments video. I talk about going to Flensburg. The night before Flensburg, I went to Kiel to see High Fighter play. That was awesome. Like I made good friends with them that night. Like a tiny little venue, I don't know, 30 people or something. In walks Der Ami from nowhere. The band was surprised. That was cool. Number 8, a band that's a bit smaller, but influenced me in some other ways. These guys are called Convictive. Shortly after I came here to stay and live, I went over to Krefeld. I went to Krefeld and saw these guys play. Getting to know these guys after High Fighter and some of the friends that I've met here in Hanover, this was the first band kind of outside of that circle that I got to know. And the singer Lena had a personal impact on me being a singer, and her stage performance, very intense, like looking into the crowd and really staring into you. This was something that influenced my own performance on stage and the new band that I was beginning at the time. So I have to rank that as influential personally. So thank you guys for that. Let's move on. I got just a couple more. This one is a little bit of a surprise, not so much metal, but I was wearing their t-shirt in a previous video, and I know some of you guys know this band from Hanover, Exilent. I randomly got to see them. Like, I did not know them. I walked into this place one night and they were playing, and it was a bit of a surprise. But before seeing, hearing, meeting these guys, I had never heard the term, the descriptor D-beat. I'm sorry, but I had never heard that before. Everything was like crust punk or whatnot. I love the music, but they turned me on to something that I didn't know. I didn't know it in such a way. You know, this discharge sound, the D-beat. I learned something new. So thank you to my now friends Exilent for kind of expanding my view a little bit on music. So that was something I did not have in the US. Okay, so to top off this list that I made, Germany's not known so much for death metal. There is some really good death metal here in Germany within the underground, and I don't have to say much about these guys. I will only mention the name, Necrophagists, kings of technical death metal. Yeah, I only have to say the name. I don't have to add anything to that. If you know them, then you know what I'm talking about. I just had another thought come to mind, so I'm going to add another name. Sasha Payant. I think he's a big name in German metal, thanks to a young singer from America by the name of Adrienne Cohen, one of my favorite singers right now. She's awesome, but I did not know who Sasha Payant was before she started working with him. And so I learned about Avantasia, a whole new world. I'm sure some of you are laughing at me because I did not know who this guy was a year ago. Oh, I'll go back. I mentioned Doro. I missed seeing her. Like just after I moved, she did a US tour and she played one of the small venues. In comparison, I think now, maybe here in Germany, does she only play festivals? I don't know. I missed seeing her because I had just moved here. She played a small venue, about 300 people. My thoughts on some of the top influential German bands and adding some of my personal favorites that have influenced me to be here where I am now with you guys. One thing I want to add is now Krautsalat has got a little bit of a merch shop. So we can get some t-shirts. Here's one of the logos. I hope you recognize it. If not, you're not a metalhead, and that's okay. The link for that's down below. We'll start having some t-shirts and stuff soon. Also, we are also on Instagram and Facebook. Find Krautsalat. Some of you have already, and that's awesome. Some of you on your own are going and finding Krautsalat on Instagram and Facebook. That's greatly appreciated. Thanks again for watching. Hit subscribe and stick with us. The bell for notifications. We got more videos coming soon. And Feierabend.